can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
And I'm Bruce. And sitting in the corner is my silent son.
I'm trying to get him on here. He's content to sit on that.
He's got ideas, but he refuses.
He's got ideas. Okay, well, he'll get up outraged when we talk about something he doesn't like, and then he's got a chair right here to sit down because we'll get his thoughts too. Maybe.
So what are we talking about today?
Squid Game.
No, that's what everybody was talking about. What, 3-4 months ago?
4 months ago. Spoilers. Yeah, this was all the rage. I remember the first time I heard about it was I saw a news, on the Google feed or whatever. Man's phone number blows up after Squid Game comes out or whatever because his number matched the number of the Squid Game card. The number featured in the movie. I was like, why? And I never saw it, but I was like, why would they say the number? These days, you notice they don't say the numbers. They don't show numbers anymore, phone numbers anymore. If they give you their card, they just dial the number. It seems like a rookie Hollywood mistake. Do you remember the old
555?
Well, yeah, 555, whatever. What was it? 555 Ghost or whatever for Ghostbusters or what? Bust. Busting Ghosts.
Sometimes they would.
What poor sap had that number in New York?
Well, sometimes the movies would have a real number and it would be tied to some advertisement. You would call it, and they would.
Now, see, that's smart.
Message. Yeah,
get a number and then tie it to your thing, and then advertise your thing. Make it a 900 number too, so you can charge them like the good old days. Remember, you had to charge. But this happened in 1980, and I'm pretty sure it happened in 83 too. But you could call a tip line for Empire Strikes Back before it came out, and Luke Skywalker for $2 a minute or whatever, or Mark Hamill would record in the upcoming movie. Darth Vader is coming back or something. It'd be like nothing, but just like little tips. We're going to go to a planet that's completely covered in ice called Hoth. Ooh, I'm on. This is worth my $2. Before the internet. He could really screw him over with but you could call, those things are still on YouTube. Now I'm sure there's some for 1983. I'm sure they still had that hot tip, tip line. You could call in, get the tips on the upcoming movie.
And wasn't that how you could vote for the death of Robin? Didn't you have to make a phone call and pay a little bit?
Yes, you did. I think
they didn't have to. It was a quick.
That's a smart thing. Did you vote?
No. I remember. I just remember when it was all going down.
I remember when the voting was happening. I wanted to, but I didn't have any money, and Dad would kill me if I dialed that number. And
it was the only way to do it fast enough because they had to make 2 versions of the last issue.
Yeah,
and then they waited for the phone lines to come in so that next month they could release the issue.
Which issues? Have they ever released the other art where Jason Todd lives?
I'm sure it's somewhere.
Oh, okay. What would you have voted?
Kill him.
Okay. Yeah. I think a lot of people voted kill him because they thought they'll never do it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people voted that. Like if they once they saw that Jason Todd was dead, I bet a lot of people would have changed their vote. Like, oh, we didn't think they'd do it. But I think a lot of people. I don't think there's. There were some people who said I want Jason Todd dead. There were people that said that, but there were people like kill him. You're not going to do it anyway because no one dies in combat, and that was back before people came back. Yeah. So if you killed someone, it was
a big deal,
permanent back then.
Now it's just a 5-issue story arc.
Ever since the death of Superman, they said now you can bring characters back and characters don't die anymore, which I found interesting.
But
they said start with death of Superman.
For the longest time, Marvel's big rule, the ones that would always be dead were Uncle Ben and Bucky. So,
yeah, always. And then
we're waiting for Uncle Ben.
Spider-Man 400, the death of Aunt May, and they said this is not a sales gimmick. She is dead. She is never coming. Mark my words. She is never coming back. And everything. All those words had periods behind them.
How long did it last? Not long.
I think the next year she came back. Nothing. No one ever dies. No one ever dies.
That's the thing with Marvel. It's like, we're going to do some big changes. Spider-Man's going to get married. We're going to love this.
Yeah.
And we're going to stick to it.
Yeah. And then nothing happens. No one ever dies. Unlike Squid Game. There we go. So that's the only thing I knew about Squid Game.
See, I saw there were a lot of people were coming out with memes based off of it. I was seeing those online, and I didn't even know what the reference was. It was either all the I don't want to call them the bad guys, but just the people with the symbols on their face and the cuff.
I didn't see anything. I just read that one. I saw the title of that one story and thought, okay.
The giant doll that was for the red light, green light game.
Okay.
There were memes with her.
The only thing that I that I thought this was about, okay? Before you had told me you were watching it and I should watch it, was I thought Squid Game was a crazy zany comedy about a bunch of, Koreans who have a crazy night of, what happens to, just friends playing
Like The Hangover.
a crazy, yeah. And everything goes zany. It's a zany little, or maybe one of those reality shows,
Yeah.
where they get on one of those crazy reality shows. And I was like, where a hand slaps them into someone a giant nose or something. I mean, it's just like weird stuff. And I thought that's what it was about. And then you start to, I was like, oh, I had no idea. So, first episode, basically the Squid Game, they recruit people who are high in debt and have nothing else to live. I mean, their life's pretty much crap.
Yeah.
Right. And they scope out, they do their study, they do their homework on these people, and then they tempt them by playing what you think is a simple game of whatever. It must be big in Korea. You slap something on top and try to, it's like slam, it's like Pogs. It's it's like paper version of Pogs. That's all it is. Like we had that in 1990, 20 years. What, 30 years later, you would catch up with us, Korea. So now you have your own version of Pogs and Slammers. Good for you. But then it was meant to where you would lose. Well, this guy, the main guy, is so bad at the game. He just keeps getting slapped to get back his million yen. That's the other thing. I don't know what the values of the money.
I did look it up.
Okay,
so at least for the big pot,
okay. Tell me what
the big pot was like.
What was it?
It was like $40 million.
Okay, so that's what I did because they said 43 billion, so it's 43 million in money.
It was 68 billion, and it came out to about 40 something.
Gotcha. So this was 1,000 yen or whatever it is. It wasn't yen, it was something, but it was $100. If you just flipped it over, you got $100 instantly. So a quick way to get big money is what it was. But he kept losing. He said, "Well, I tell you what, for every 100 you owe me, I'll slap you in the face. We'll call it even." And there's a great montage where he's getting popped in the mouth all day long. Then finally he wins, and they decide to end the game because he gets 100. They give him $100.
No. The funny thing is, he went to slap the guy, and the guy had to remind him.
Yeah.
Nope, you can get money.
Yeah, you get money instead of slapping him. That's
he just
funny.
wanted to slap him
Because he wanted to get it back there. The guy's a loser. He's a lovable loser. He wins at the races big, but gets mugged and the money taken away.
Well, he didn't get mugged. The girl.
Oh, the girl pickpocketed him. Yeah, the pickpocketed girl pickpocketed him, and so
and then he runs into people he owes the money to.
Yeah. He lives with his mom. His mom says he's no good. He needs to get a job, real job. His daughter he's divorced from his wife. His daughter on his birthday, he takes her out to eat noodles, even though they say it's fried chicken.
Yeah.
It's noodles, but that's too bad because they can't say, well, Americans won't know what this is. It's noodles with chicken in it, I guess. It looked like tofu. But anyway,
he gets the impression that he couldn't afford it. He was supposed to get her fried chicken, but he couldn't afford it.
Oh, well, maybe so. Maybe so. That's true. That's true. He had to settle for whatever. He said, come on, my girl gets the best. Give her some more. And he's trying to give her a prize from the claw machine before he meets her, which is another funny thing because he's putting in $1 after that and keeps missing it. And finally that kid goes, here, give me $1. I'll do it. And they like hug and everything. He hugs the little kid.
He doesn't even check out what it is.
It's a surprise box. He opens up. It's a cigarette lighter gun-shaped cigarette lighter. Hilarious. Say, on second thought, let me keep this and we'll give it when your mother's not around. That was just great. That was great. So it's good comedy. We're building up our main character who we're supposed to follow and some side characters. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the fish market lady has a son she's very proud of because he went to SMU or some esteemed college. He's a finance guy, bigwig. He's super successful. She didn't hear from him that much.
Yeah.
And we find out,
of course, the pickpocket comes back too.
And the pickpocket comes back too. But some of the main characters are set up right now because we find out that guy, even though he's been lying to his mom and his friends, he's been super successful. He's actually lost tons of money, and he is also in debt as well because he ends up in the Squid Game as well. So the main guy, the lovable loser, what is his name? I can't remember his name.
I don't remember any of their names. Sorry.
What's his name? Son.
I forgot.
Jeez. Okay, so no one knows his name, but anyway, lovable loser goes in there, joins the Squid Game. You don't know. I had no idea. I still had no idea.
Oh, good. I'm sure that was more fun.
What was going to happen? Because I thought they were going to knock them all out. Well, they did. They get in the van. They get knocked out, gassed. And I thought they were going to wake up. I was thinking Battle Royale. When you gave me just a once over, you didn't spoil anything. So I thought it was Battle Royale. I was like, what's the difference between this and Battle Royale? I didn't understand. They're playing games to the death. Okay, it's Battle Royale. I thought that's going to be a version of Battle Royale.
We don't do that to the end.
And then they all wake up. It's by the way, the soundtrack is hilarious.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. There's redone classics of Frank Sinatra, and then Mozart is in it. I mean, just classical music.
Yeah.
It's really weird. But they wake up to classical music, and they're all in the same green jumpsuits, which I found.
Dormitory,
and they have
room with
lots and stacks of metal beds.
Near 500 beds in this one room, and
there are 456 contestants.
It was 96.
496. I don't remember. Was it 456 or 96, Brody?
I think it was maybe 8. The last number was 8.
Okay. I'm not getting anywhere here. Okay, so
58.
58? Okay. Well, you know what? There's a great new invention out there on the internet called Google. So how many players? And everyone's already screaming at the because I want to say 456. 456 players. Okay, so by the way, I should mention the title scroll. I know it probably said Squid Game, but that was really cool.
Yeah.
How they introduced the title to each episode was really cool. It said something, and then the letters would rearrange, and it would say, I'm assuming Squid Game. I did not have the subtitles on. I got the dub version. You did the subtitles.
I did.
Now, the thing is, I did have to turn on subtitles when I realized they were reading letters in Korean. I was like, I can't read this. Hold on, back up. Let me hit subtitles. So I did have subtitles on for a little while.
We had this long sequence towards the end. We're sitting there reading along, and then there was like the whole scene went by. I was like, wait a second, was that all in English? And we had to rewind and go back. It was like once the big wigs get there, they started speaking English.
Oh yeah, they were speaking English. It wasn't being dubbed and anything. They got some English actors and everything.
I guess that was them just trying to dish on Americans, but
appeal to the. I guess, but wow. Okay,
coming in.
So, anyway, he wakes up. And, let me pause here. This is probably going to be a 2-part episode now that I'm thinking about it. All right, so let me ask you this. First off, the company who did this, they're in Korea, right?
Yeah.
South Korea, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
They made this, and Netflix saw it and said, let me have it.
This was a Korean show, and then Netflix, picked it up.
Was it hot in Korea?
I haven't really researched the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Okay.
All I know is since I told you that you need to watch it, I found that they were, they greenlit a second season.
I'm very disappointed about that. I'll explain why in a minute. Next episode. But anyway, in the first episode, they all wake up. They're in green jumpsuits. Our lovable loser is 456. He's the final player in the game, and everyone else has higher numbers than him. And he meets number one is a little old man. Who old man who tells him he's here to play game, and he has a tumor in his head, and he's going to die. So he thought, why not play the game? Now, of course, this old man you think is going to be the first person to die. Like he'll die of a heart attack before he even starts the game.
No, you see him playing that first game.
Well, okay, I'll get to that. So they have him sign contracts. They're being very nice to them, but it is a little weird. They're all a little weirded out. And they say, okay, we'll tell you about the prize money after the first game is played. And so they're like, okay, but they all signed to be on. It's got simple rules. It looks like the agreement does. And he sees the Fisher lady's son, who's supposed to be super successful, and realizes, oh, he must be in super debt too, because they're all in super debt. And that's why they're there to play. So they go play their first game, which is red light, green light. And this is where you have the giant robot girl.
The giant doll with her head spins around.
She's got one hand on a mechanical tree. This is where it gets really weird. Oh, no, they go outside. They're outside in like a football field arena.
Yeah.
But it's painted to look like an outdoor playground.
Yeah. At first you think they're outdoors, but then you kind of look at they're in this giant room that's either digital or paint or combination.
I believe it was painted.
Yeah.
Because, they don't... At first you're thinking, oh, they're outside. And then it shows some scenes where you can easily see those are just walls.
Yeah.
With picture painted over them. Or, plaster. It was wallpaper plastered over. And I was like, Oh, okay. So they're not trying to fool. I thought it was a movie effect, and then I was like, that's pretty terrible. But then I realized, oh no, they want you to know they're in a fake arena. It's supposed to look like that, and that is part of the theme. Later on, you find out. But first, I'm really confused. Why is there a giant robot? I mean, a giant robot.
Yeah.
This thing is
20
like
feet tall or
this
something?
thing, 30 feet. I mean, this thing is huge.
She looks like a big doll.
And yeah, and she can swim her head. And they said the rules: stop and go. You know, when they said red light, green light, run, red light, go. You know, you have 5 minutes, and that was the other thing: the timer to complete it. I didn't know that was going to happen. So okay, so they all start running. And now I know what's going to happen now. There's these two kids kind of laughing to each other, well, young adults, thinking, "Yeah, I'll beat you, I'll beat you." And then one kid stumbles on red light. She turns around, he kind of shuffles his feet and stumbles a little bit, and that dude gets shot. Now,
and then everybody panics.
No one knows what happened. So then they say green light. They all run up to him, red light, and then the other kid is right on top and say, "Hey, get up, dude! What are you doing?" And then he sees blood coming out of him. So then that guy turns around to run while it's still red light, and in front of everyone, he gets shot in front of everyone. Everyone sees him go, blood go everywhere, and then everyone panics and starts running. And she mows down about 200 of them. Now, some of them figure it out and just freeze because they figure out they freeze. Then they won't, or like our idiot player, a dead person falls on top of him and he can't get him off, so he's trapped. But he knows to play dead too. And so then they realize, except for the old man who is totally oblivious to everyone else, he's got a smile on his face.
The great thing is when it started, everybody's kind of like, "What's going on?" And it cuts to him. And he's just smiling. He's just like, "Oh, this is."
But after everyone dies and she turns back and goes green light, he's the only one that shuffles forward for a little bit because he's laughing because he's got dementia coming in. So anyway, they just mow down about half the players right then and there, and then they pause and restate the rules of the game.
Yeah.
And now everyone is freaking out. Some people are smart, like the little thief girl. She's behind someone so that if she does happen to stumble or move, they won't catch her movement. And as people are flinching, whatever, one person here and there is getting knocked off as they go through, but then time is almost over. And the old man, who you think would die at first, he crosses first, which I really liked. I was like, but he's laughing, he's like smiling. Yeah. He shuffles and stops. And shuffles and stops, and he's just smiling. But the reason he had such a big lead is because everyone else was panicking. He just kept running because he thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of them catch up, and then barely at the last few seconds, he crosses the line right as the head's turning around. If you cross the line, you're safe. And then you're thinking, okay, what happens now? Oh, you didn't make it? I'll fire on everyone else. And there's like 30 more people that she fires upon, or so. Well, 40 more, whatever. 40 more that.
All we know is we got about half.
More than half. It was 456 down to 201. Remember?
That's right.
So the first game just wiped out because people didn't know. Well, okay. Well, now they're back in and they're crying, they're upset, they want out. And then the financier goes, wait a minute. Our thing says if we all vote, majority votes to get out of here, we can be done with the games, right? So they bring in a voting machine, yes or no, and tallies it up. And of course, the first vote is
wait, before we start this process, let me show you.
Oh yeah, let me show you the money. And there's this giant weird piggy bank that drops from the sky, and they start shooting in tons, millions of dollars. And everyone's like,
it's like,
ooh.
What was it? Like 10
million. Yeah, something like that.
For
20 million. Well, obviously it's more than 20 million because more than half of them died.
Yeah. It was whatever. It was like. It was so much per person.
Yeah, and they said if you quit, we'll disperse this to the families of the people who die. Yeah. But if you keep playing, one of you is going to get the whole pot. And so people are like getting kind of greedy now, because you
didn't say one because at the time there was.
Well, no. He said
whoever gets to the
end, we'll split it up. And so there's a lot of hungry people looking at the pot, going, okay, this is something, because you have thieves, you have crooks. Crook is he's kind of a bad guy. He hates the thief. She kind of stole from him, I guess, once. But anyway, so there's some villains and whatnot in there. But they start doing a vote, voting backwards. The guy at 456, he votes first. He votes no. He thinks everyone's going to vote no, and then someone behind him just votes yes. And then the no to quit or yes to quit the game is winning. But then no's start catching up as more and more people are looking, and you see people like looking up at the bank, just kind of going, "There's a lot of money," and all I had to do was stop. Yeah. I mean, we had to follow the rule. Hard. It wasn't that hard as I followed the rules. So, and then it gets down to the old man, and he's left. left, and it's yes or no, right?
The really fun thing was they showed the flashbacks of him talking about why he's there, and he
Yeah.
was,
Oh, yeah. Because he knows. He said, "Oh, I'm here because there's a tumor ahead. I may die." And he's thinking, "Oh no,
and it's like, oh,
he's
everybody's
gonna
staying.
he's gonna stay." But then he presses.
No.
Yeah, and so they all get to go home. Now that's a great first episode.
Yeah, because at this point it's like, okay, we're in the games, and of course they're gonna be stuck there. No, they end the first episode by releasing everybody to go home.
Yeah, and so that's the first episode. You're like, wow, okay. So I mean, at first I was like, okay. At the beginning, I knew it was the setup of all the characters, and I was like, okay, well, I want to get to these games. I was really thinking Battle Royale, and when I saw the game, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And then they let everyone go. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And that's kind of how the first episode ends. I love a lot of the endings are really good too. They have some tension on the endings that you want to watch the next one. It encouraged binge watching, so to speak.
How many episodes was it? 6 or 8?
No, there were 9. I want to say 9 episodes, which is another good reason why I watched it. If it was 22 episodes, I was not going to watch it. But the second episode comes out, and it's basically just them living their lives and realizing how miserable they really are. Like now, our lovable loser finds out that his mom's dying, and his daughter is going to the U.S. She's leaving, and then it flashes back to a scene from the previous episode where he tells her, he said, next year for your birthday. She went, next year? I'll tell you later. Mm-hmm. And, so he realizes that's what he was going to tell her. And so now he needs to get money because if he can't prove to the court that he can support a girl, then she gets full custody and takes him overseas. And his mom kind of says, you need to do something. You need to get money. You need to hurry, get off your lazy butt or whatnot. And it shows how bad. Oh, there is a Palestinian guy who's very strong, saves our lovable loser when he trips on red light. And so the Palestinian guy grabs him and holds him so he doesn't get to move. And he has to hold too. That was a tenseful moment too. Oh, and I love how they're taking all their pictures. He's the only one that smiles because he's like a doofus.
Yeah.
And he's got this little smile like, hey, because he's just thinking this is all fun. This is before he knew it was life or death. There's another good scene where he meets the old man at the cafe. Old man's about to give a birthday present for his son, and they drink sake and split some, little packaged noodles together and laugh. And he goes, because the old man tells him that, he said, I think I like my life better in there because out here it just really sucks. And it gets him to start thinking, well, maybe I should go back. And everyone's thinking about going back. And so at the end, do they go back? Or is that third?
I want to think the episode. Well, it brings in the police officers too.
Yeah, that was good. He goes to the police officers.
His first thing is he's like, I'm going to go tell the police that these people are killing all these people.
And it's a smart thing to do because the police officers laugh him out of the building. They laugh him out of the building. Like, so they promise to give you $20 million. Yes. On playing stop, red light, green light. Yes. And if you don't stop, you die. Yes. And when you ask to go, they let you go. Yes. See, none of that makes sense. Okay? And he even calls the number on the back of the card, but it's the wrong number, or someone gets mad at him. He's like, okay, get out of here. You're playing with us. Get out of here. But there is a police captain who used to play the game, I'm guessing.
No,
is that what they were saying?
No, there was that police officer.
No, well, he used to play a game called the Squid Game. Okay. Because that's how they introduced it. I'm sure. Yeah. Back up to episode 1, it's kids on a playground showing you how to play the Squid Game.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they did that.
But, even when you get to it in the show, it doesn't make that much sense because it really was just a battle royal at the end.
Well, right. But the thing is, though,
I'm sure they had more cultural
it's a game that he used to play on the playground with his brother and a friend. He's thinking, whoa, wait a minute. Because he's been missing his brother, too.
We're introduced to this guy who has this police officer who has a brother.
You have one job. It's don't touch anything. The one thing that you can't shut up. It's going to keep singing like that for another 30 seconds. No, it's done. It's done. Just let it keep going.
Just let it finish.
This is... You just don't touch anything. Are you spilling stuff on my carpet?
Thankfully, it was almost done.
My new carpet?
See?
This is why you can't have nice things. All right, so anyway, you done touching things? There's a fire alarm somewhere here if you want to pull it. Okay. No, but anyway,
But yeah, the police officer
yeah,
who has a brother that had gone missing at some point, and he noticed the symbol on the card was something similar to a symbol that the brother had, the same card that went missing.
who went
And
missing.
so he's like, "There's a connection here."
And so he's going undercover to try to figure out
And
what
so
it
he
is.
kind of teams up with our little Beluzer.
Yes.
And he's going to try to, once everybody starts going back, he's going to sneak into it.
Which is only a relationship they share at the very beginning of that, at the end of that episode, and then they never see each other again.
Well, he was just his way into it.
I know. But anyway,
separate ways.
I'll be honest. Episode 2, a little bit of a drag.
A little bit, but
I
very
thought,
important.
well, there were some good scenes. Well, yes, it turns out, yes. But a little bit of a drag, and I'll be honest, at that point I thought, oh, if this is just going to go, real world, and then back to the Squid Game in the last 3 episodes, I may not make it. Because I was more interested in the Squid Game itself than the real world.
I would say I thought this was ingenious, because it sets up the character motivations to where people no longer feel like they're forced to be in the game. They volunteer to come back knowing what's involved, and so they're not being held captive to it.
Yeah. Now, I'm saying this because if you can make it through episode 2, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You're good to go because the rest of it does pick up and it snowballs, meaning it gets better and better as the shows go along.
That episode, man, towards the end, just really kicked you. Man, it was right
I know the one you're talking about, but I say about what? They're about 40, 50 minutes each. One is 30 minutes long, which I was so happy. Just because it's like, come on, let's hurry and get this done. But even the finale was just 50 minutes long. I don't think they went an hour, so that was really good. So, I mean, you kind of do the math, and that's how much time you're spending on Squid Game. But if you can make it through 2, 2's a little bit of a drag. But, I mean, because they got to still build and show your character, show why.
It's a lot of setup.
It gives you an explanation for why they want to go back.
Yeah,
and they needed to do it.
You get the
but it's
backstory for your lot of characters. So as you start to lose these characters, you have a little connection of what they're losing, why they were there.
Yes.
So you kind of are rooting for several people.
There you go.
You've only got a couple bad guys that you know going to die, and you look forward to them. You look forward to when they die.
Right.
But for the most part, you've got people that you like and care about.
Yeah. And so that's the second episode. Now the third episode, they go back, they know who they are, they get their same numbers, like nothing's changed, and all but they say, oh, by the way, all the people who run the games are in red jumpsuits and masks that have a circle, a square, or a white triangle on them. The circles are the menial workers; they get rid of the dead bodies, and they're just armed guards. The squares kind of are the squad leaders in a way. And triangles are captains over them.
And then there's the one guy.
And then there's Darth Vader, who's the Prism blackface guy. There's blackface in Squid Game now that I think about it. But but he's like the Darth Vader, and you think he's the main guy for the longest. Turns out not to be. But so I like how they have the circle, the square, and the triangle as different races. Now the police guy, I could really do without his storyline. I understand why they had it to add some extra intrigue. What's going on the inside?
To show you a little bit
what they go through and who they are, who the maskless people are.
So there's just the hard set of rules that they have to follow right there too.
Because he starts off as a circle, and then when an incident happens and a square dies, he picks up the square's mask when no one's looking, and now he becomes a square, which is a little bit higher. He eventually becomes a triangle too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, until finally, I don't mind going ahead and telling his story, but he's looking for his brother, looking through the files and everything.
Right. Yeah,
but I'll pause from there. But anyway, that's what he's doing in the next
But you find out
6 episodes.
In a lot of ways, they're just as trapped as the people in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's hard rules they have to follow. Like, they can't show their face. If anybody sees your face, then you die.
Yeah, if any one of the workers have their face shown, they have to die. They have to because they've seen your face now. And that was a rule that was established in that third episode, I think. But the policeman also finds out they're on a remote island off the coast of whatever. It's off the sea, Korea, yeah. So that's where the Squid Games are happening. And I think they showed us that on day 1, on the first episode. Yeah. They kind of backed away from everything and showed you.
Huge complex.
That they're on an island. And when they close the doors, the bay doors, it looks like the trees.
Yeah.
That they're surrounded, so it kind of keeps them from aerial. So if you flew over it and you didn't know what you're looking for, you could pass all over it like camouflage. But anyway, so that's what I want to do right here. I want to stop. This is part 1 Bruce is going to come back. We're going to do part 2 here about Squid Game. Again, if you haven't seen Squid Game, let me make you a deal. If you haven't seen Squid Game, you got 1 week. Go watch it just based off that, and then come back and hear our thoughts on the second half of Squid Game on Princes of the Universe.